All right, welcome to another live episode of geekoutdoors.com. Now, these live episodes, they're specifically meant for all the creative geeks out there, so content creators and marketers. Now, I do have another live episode on Saturday where I talk about geeky news and Linux stuff, but these episodes are for all the creative geeks out there. And so today, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 different types of content on YouTube. Now, if you actually go on YouTube, it seems like there's virtually an unlimited amount of content on YouTube. However, they normally fall into these 5 main categories. So let's go ahead and start with number 1, and that is trendy content. So trendy content is stuff like the next Call of Duty, Black Ops 4. That's trending right now. Or maybe the latest version of Linux Mint 19, or the next Apple iPhone or Samsung Galaxy. Those are all things that are trendy. And so whenever you do have a YouTube channel, it's good to have these trendy things as well, because that's what's hot right now. That's what's in the news. And I would say that if you do not have things that are trendy, it's going to be hard for you to gain traction on your YouTube channel. And I will talk about that a little bit later. And so the second type of content is help content, or specifically educational type of content. And so those are things such as like tutorials, or you are showing people how to fix something. Like, say for example, you have a plumbing problem. Those are help content, educational content, and those things are extremely valuable to any YouTube channel, because a lot of times people come to YouTube for either entertainment purposes or they need to learn how to do something, help content. And so that's essential that you have that. And so the third type of content is hero content. So hero content are things that are maybe very special. Like, say for example, the New Year's in 2020, that only happens one time, or the release of the Sony PlayStation 5, things like that that are only once in a moment, or maybe on your videos you are graduating from high school or college. Okay, those things are pretty big stuff. So that's why they call it hero content. So the number 4 type of content is hub content. So this type of content are things that are specifically related for your community, for your actual audience. Okay, so this is something that builds up over time, because that's why I would say like YouTubers like Casey Neistat, he has a lot of hub content because it's specifically meant for his audience. And so that thing is also good for the long term. And then a final type of content we have, number 5, is evergreen content. So that is content that, unlike the trendy stuff, it doesn't get old. Like for example, this right here, this top 5 types of YouTube content, this is evergreen, because even years down the road, these type of content's still going to be around. It's not a trendy thing. And so if I had to think about which ones are important, this is my own personal opinion. And so if you are starting out, I would say stick with trendy and help content, because there's not going to be a real reason for people to actually watch your channel at the beginning, because nobody knows who you are. And there's obviously millions of videos on YouTube, and there's more than 1 billion hours of YouTube that's being watched every single day. And so for you to actually try to break in, you're probably going to have to come in with something trendy, and also something that is helpful. I personally would really start with something helpful, because usually the things that are trendy, it's normally going to be dominated by the already popular established channels. However, that doesn't mean that you can't get a piece of that as well. So a good example is I have another YouTube channel. It is actually my movies channel, and I did some videos recently this past week about Star Wars, Solo. I also did a Deadpool 2 review as well, and then before that I did a Cobra Kai review as well. Even though that channel is really small, I have only 44 subscribers, but people were still able to see that and watch it. And so that's important. It's trendy, but at the same time I would say it's also kind of evergreen, because Star Wars is an evergreen subject. Okay, so I would always start with that. And I really feel that whenever it comes to help content, that's something that can be watched over and over again. If you actually watch my channel, you'll see quite a few tutorials, specifically on Linux stuff, how to move over from Mac to Windows. I also have tutorials on how to use different tools. And so those are things that I think are going to be helpful for the long run. So that is not only helpful and educational, but it's also evergreen. So I try to put educational evergreen wherever I can, because those things will never go old. And so that's kind of like the challenge with determining what type of content you want. Because if you primarily focus just on trendy stuff, like say news all the time, like I do news every single week. But the problem with that is if you only focus on trendy type content, then the trends die. Like for example, say you have the latest release of the iPhone, right? The iPhone 10, right? Well, 6 months or a year from now, nobody's going to be looking for that anymore. The same thing goes for a version of software. So if I did a review on the upcoming Linux Mint 19, that's going to be pretty hot whenever that comes out. But a year from now, nobody cares, because the next version or versions of that particular operating system will be out by then. And so that's why it's really a good strategy, in my opinion, for you to have regular trendy content, but also have the other two types, the help content and also the evergreen content to go along with that. My personal preference is focus on the help and evergreen, because those will last for years and years to come. You know, even if it's a version of a software that is old, typically it doesn't change that much, so it will last for years and years. And then when it comes to like the hero content and hub content, I really feel that that is not going to be as useful until you've actually built an audience. Because unless you have an audience, honestly, nobody really cares. Nobody knows who you are. You haven't built a relationship, built an audience where you could actually communicate with people. You know, nothing's going to be like relevant to them, you know, until you've actually established that relationship, built that audience. And so at that point, then you could create this hub content first. I really feel hub content is something that's specifically related to your community. Like for example, people who come to my channel, normally they're going to come for the Linux stuff, but I do have other things as well. You know, I have video games on here, I have movies, I do have separate channels for those now, but I also have a lot of geeky news, you know, stuff that I think I'm interested in. And so other people who come to my channel are interested in that as well. And then over time, the people who come here regularly, we have a community, we have a dialogue that's only like stuff that we are interested in, you know, like stuff that only we get, you know, which is cool. So that's something that is a long-term thing, and I think it's the most valuable once you've established an audience, to have hub content that's just for y'all. You know, it's kind of like a secret club. And then when it comes to the actual hero content, I don't have too many of those, because I think those big event stuff, they don't happen very often. And so I would think like the next big event stuff is when I would hit like 10,000 subscribers, or I hit 1,000 videos, you know, something like that. Or maybe I have a brand new Linux PC, a gaming PC, something like that. Those are like not things that I do very often, and I don't really depend on a lot of those. Like I said, those are like not very often. It's like a rare, special moment. And so those are the top 5 types of content that you will find on YouTube. And as I said earlier, it seems like there's so many different types of content, but if you actually think about the videos that you watch on YouTube, they're normally gonna fall into those categories. And so just to go ahead and summarize, if you are just starting out on YouTube, I recommend that you start with help, educational content, and also mix in some trendy stuff with that. And then over time, definitely put in evergreen stuff. Evergreen is important no matter what stage that you're in. And then later on, as you are building your actual audience, you've established a relationship with your audience, go ahead and add some hub content, you know, and then the hero stuff, that's just every now and then. And so that is it for this very quick live episode of geekoutdoors.com. This is for all the content creators out there, all the marketers out there. And if you are a geek who is interested in content creation, who is maybe leaning towards the creative side, that I do have something special for you. And so what I've done is I've actually created 30 free videos that basically has my thoughts and also my own journey on some of the things that I learned in order to create content. And not only that, once you sign up, you also get additional material just for the people who are interested in content creation and marketing. And so the best part is all of this is free. And so if you wanted to get that, I will leave that in the description area below. And so as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you did have any other thoughts or anything that I talked about today, please leave your ideas in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to head over to patreon.com/geekoutdoors, and we'll see you on another episode.